President Trump said what? He said, I just want to find 11,780 votes. That's like saying, I just want to have vanilla ice cream for dessert.
Former President Donald Trump has now been hit with a fourth indictment, and he has no way out of this one. So I'm going to get to all of the details, as well as some hilarious reactions, including a reaction from a Fox News host who appears to be enjoying this. So wait to see who that is, and other reactions and stuff that I found online in the wake of all of this news, because I woke up this morning not knowing anything. I went to bed at a proper time last night, 10:30, 11 p.m. Eastern. So I woke up to this news. Arrest warrant issued for Donald Trump, given until August 25th to surrender. You know, I don't always like the fact that I check Twitter every morning, but today I did enjoy it because I smiled bigly after reading this, as Trump would say. So really good news here to see a result in this investigation. This is the indictment. It is long and large. I will get to a quick breakdown in a second here, but in case you want to see the actual PDF yourself, I will link to this below the video. This is the breakdown here from Public Notice. This is Aaron Rupar's outlet, writing 19 defendants, including the former president of the United States, Trump, of course, 6 lawyers in his orbit, 41 criminal counts across all defendants, 13 criminal counts against the former president himself, 8 types of manners and methods used to further a criminal enterprise, and 161 overt acts of racketeering activity. So they have used, as you're going to see here, the RICO Act in this case, which essentially in past has been used for sort of like mafia behavior. They're treating Trump here as basically a mafia boss in this whole criminal activity in this attempt to try and overturn the election. So these are Trump's charges, the 13 charges here from Georgia: violation of the Georgia RICO Act, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit false statements and writings, conspiracy to commit filing false documents, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit false statements and writings, filing false documents, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, false statements and writings, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, false statements and writings. So a lot here for Trump in Georgia. This is going to be very hard to overcome. And I'm going to get to specifically why in Georgia it's going to be hard for him to overcome. But Aaron Rupart made me laugh here with his quote, "That's a lot of witch hunts." 4 indictments, 91 charges. Yeah. It's all a conspiracy to take down the former president, as opposed to him blatantly breaking the law, even publicly, many times. It's all here. It's all very clear. And I'm going to get to how ridiculous the defense is now from conservatives of Trump. It is, they have nothing else to go on. So they are grasping at whatever straws they can. And I wouldn't even call these straws, but I'll get to that in a bit. Worth mentioning as well, this is just great. From insider here, Rudy Giuliani, who pioneered the use of RICO when he was a U.S. attorney, just got indicted on RICO charges. So Giuliani, if you go back and look this up, he was big into, he's the one that pushed these sorts of charges. He got this to be a thing, these RICO charges. So this was his big thing. He is now being charged under RICO. It is just wonderful, these sort of poetic justice we are now witnessing. So in terms of when these trials are coming down, and when the new one is, I'll get to in a second, but as they write here, Trump now faces 4 criminal cases while he runs for president. Trial dates have already been set in 2 of them: March 24th, 2024 for his New York State hush money trial, and May 20th, 2024 for the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. On August 28th, Judge Tanya Chutkan expected to set a trial date for his election obstruction case, where the special counsel's office has asked for a January 2024 date. The biggest question here, as I keep saying in all of these videos about these indictments, is not only when these trials are happening, but when are they going to end, and when is he going to be sentenced? Is he going to be behind bars before the general election? Even still, I'm having a hard time imagining, especially with this Georgia case now, and I'll get to the details around that in terms of just the sort of limitations he has on him, that he's going to be able to run any sort of successful campaign. So let me get to the Georgia DA here and when she expects the trial for this case to happen.
Do you believe you need to be the fourth one to try him, or could you move it up? Do you want to be the first to try him?
I don't have any desire to be first or last. I want to try him and be respectful for our sovereign states. We do want to move this case along, and so we will be asking for a proposed order that occurs a trial date within the next 6 months.
A trial date within the next 6 months, which I guess brings it potentially to February at the end of it, which means we potentially have a situation here where there's going to be a trial in January, and then in potentially February, and then March, and then May. How does this work exactly? Is he going to be taking his plane between each of the trials? It's just, this is such a unique case. We're going to have to see how this plays out to really understand how this is really going to work. But it's already too much news just hearing about all these indictments and all these charges. Can you imagine when all these trials are going on, potentially overlapping with each other? What's that going to be like then? It's wild. This whole thing is so wild. Now, let me get to this as well. This is part of the reason why Georgia in particular is very tough for Trump. Trump would have to serve 5 years in prison before he can be pardoned in Georgia. And he can't even be pardoned by the governor. So it's one of 5 states where you cannot be pardoned by the governor. Instead, they have a board that also doesn't have the power to grant preemptive pardons, which is bad news for Trump. But the independent board is the one that would decide a pardon, but it would have to be after 5 years. This is not looking good for Donald Trump. Now let me get to some reactions. So Juniper here shared a couple of tweets that I just find hilarious, and this will go right into some of the defense you're going to see of Trump. But here 4 months ago, the Internet Hippo, this is a great account, tweeted out, "New right-wing thing is describing crimes as generically as possible to pretend like they're not crimes. Someone gets convicted of conspiracy and they start yelling, 'Wow, so it's illegal to make plans with friends now?'" And this is a funny tweet, but it's 100% accurate. So check out, this is a couple tweets from today. Part of the indictment mentions how Trump pressured Mike Pence to try and disrupt or delay the whole process to put Biden in. And they turn that into making fun of Mike Pence is illegal now too. Because it mentions in this paragraph that Trump stated Pence would go down as a wimp. But that's not, they know that's not why Trump is being indicted. They know that's not the charge, but they're trying to simplify it as much as possible. Catturd here, another moron conservative account. Calling Mike Pence a wimp is now a felony in the communist state of Georgia. These people are so clownish, but it isn't just, morons on Twitter. It's also morons on television. Here is Sebastian Gorka.
And let's be clear. I mean, read the transcript of the Raffensperger call. I've got it in front of me. President Trump said what? He said, "I just want to find 11,780 votes." That's like saying, "I just want to have vanilla ice cream for dessert."
Pressuring Georgia state officials to find enough votes for him to win, as he is president at the time when he is doing this, is just like asking for vanilla ice cream for dessert. You know they have no real defense of him when this is their defense. Because if there was a real legal basis for any kind of defense of Trump, they would be going to that. They wouldn't be using vanilla ice cream to make their point. Not looking good for Donald Trump. And think of how rare it is for something like this to come down, for a former president to be indicted 4 times now. Not to mention someone who's wealthy and powerful. These prosecutors are ensuring that they have, this is why it's taken so long for them, is they want to make sure whatever case they are bringing down, that it is justifiable, that they have all the evidence there. This would not be coming down without that, which is why the defense ends up being vanilla ice cream, because there is no defense. Let me get to another example. This is going to be Republican Ashley Hinson of Iowa. And here is another attempt at a defense of Trump.
2024 is going to be really, really important to making sure we can, again, restore justice here, because when we keep hearing about these stretches that are being used for political purposes, that is not what everyday Americans are concerned that they're going to be next, right? And that's what I think everybody's worried about.
This is another one of the absolutely moronic defenses I am seeing again and again pop up, that Trump is just like everyday Americans. Yeah, this case is really worrying everyday Americans who are also all former presidents who also tried to overturn their elections. What does this have to do with everyday Americans? You really got to be a special kind of stupid to fall for any of this trash. Now, couple last things. Did I show? I haven't showed it yet. This is Fox and Friends. So you're going to see here Fox's Steve Doocy discussing this new indictment against Trump. And I want you to, I mean, you don't even need to pay attention to it because it's beaming through the screen. How happy Steve Doocy appears to be while he's talking about this.
Donald Trump's in a pickle. He's got all these indictments and stuff like this. This is a different case, though, because it's a state case as opposed to the federal cases, because in the federal stuff, if he were elected, he could pardon himself, but he can't in Georgia because that's a state. They've got a board, and you can't get a pardon until 5 years after you've served your time.
Steve Doocy is just loving this. I'm going to zoom in here to his face at the end of that sentence. The man cannot contain himself. Now, it's worth noting he deserves no credit. Of course, he's been on Fox. He's pushed all their garbage for years. He is enjoying his paycheck. That's, I assume, why he's still there. But he has clearly disliked Trump. And he cannot contain himself in the news that he will not be able to pardon himself out of this. Now, last thing, Sean Hannity. This is Sean Hannity in 2017, or I should say this is post-2017, but this was, I believe, before the election in 2016. Sean Hannity here talking about Hillary Clinton and the FBI investigation that she is under, and just how terrible this would be.
So think about the magnitude of all of this for a second. Hillary Clinton could be sworn into office while still being under investigation from the FBI, which would then put this country into a major constitutional crisis. Now, Clinton says Donald Trump, oh, he's not fit to serve in the Oval Office. But she, and she alone, has created a situation that could do severe damage to this country and the office of the presidency.
So Sean Hannity there, back before the election in 2016, making a big deal out of Hillary Clinton being under FBI investigation. How do you think he's doing with Trump now? This is him last night. Trump campaign, the legal double standard set against President Trump must end. So he brought on all these clowns, including Paul Manafort, of all people, to defend Trump from this latest indictment. But he brought on Manafort, brought in Mark Levin, all these just absolute right-wing nut jobs in defense of Trump. Again, I don't have to say this, but imagine if the tables were turned, that this was Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton facing all these indictments, all these charges. Sean Hannity would be on here defending them? Come on. And by the way, I am consistent. I have been consistently critical of Democrats and Republicans. And right now it's very clear that Trump is a massive criminal and should be behind bars for the rest of his life. But, you know, that's my opinion. And just based on the facts that he has broken the law so many goddamn times. That's it. Is there more to come? Are there more indictments? I don't know. I've lost track of what the hell's going on at this point. 4 indictments, 91 charges. That's all you need to know right now. Let's look, all of us collectively, let's look forward to these upcoming trials.